Okay.
Okay. So we are live. We're just going to give people time to come on into the stream. So we typically wait just a few minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and share the show as well and encourage you all to do the same if you can. Let me see. Okay, I'm just giving it a little time, and we have people still coming in. So for those of you that are tuning in, we welcome you to the Women's Champ Show. We are encouraging you to share the stream. Feel free to ask questions as we continue in our beautiful conversation tonight. This is our second show of the second season, and I am doing a series on living legends. And tonight I am so honored to be joined by some ladies that I believe are just thriving in their 60s and 70s. And I just know that tonight is going to be an awesome show with just wonderful content. So what I will do is give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. We'll start with the oldest. This is kind of why we had a bit of a conversation before the show got started. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. If any of my ladies feel comfortable sharing their age, you are more than welcome to do so. But tell everyone who you are, your line of work that you've been in, and what you're doing now. So we will start with the oldest.
Is that me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Beverly Benston. I am 71 years old. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'll be 72 in December. I'm a retired Milwaukee Public School teacher, and I retired from Hamilton High School in 2006. Since then, I've been working for the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, which I am an alumni of, in their admissions office, which I enjoy very much. Well, today was different. Today I got a little frustrated and said, well, I'm going to quit. And I got out and did a 3-mile walk, and I felt a little bit better, so I'm still working there.
Wow. Miss Ingrid?
Can't hear her.
Okay, we can't hear your sound. If you can hear me, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor because I see that you leaned in. We can't hear you. So what I'm going to have you do is go out and then try to come back in, okay? And in the meantime, we'll have Miss Susan go while you try to come back in. Okay.
Okay, so I'm Susan Barker, and I am 64 years old. I retired from the General Electric Company in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, when I was 60. Never to return to work. I was going to eat bonbons, and I work out religiously at a place called Burn Boot Camp, and that was going to be my life. And then about a year into that, I got so bored, I thought I would just jump off the roof. So I got back into corporate America, and now I'm a senior vice president of talent and campus recruitment for the Bank of America.
Wow.
And I'm originally from Milwaukee, but I live in the Carolinas.
Fantastic. That is so amazing to hear. Ms. Benston, you were so frustrated that you went on a 3-mile walk. Most people get frustrated and go sit on the couch, watch TV, and eat.
I had to clear my head because I think what's going on is I'm a little technology challenged. And today I had to do some things and I didn't quite understand what I was doing. Okay. So I talked to somebody in Oshkosh. I said, you have to excuse me today. I'm not very happy and I'm a little frustrated. I said, and I'm on the verge of quitting. So after I did what I had to do, I got out and I walked for 3 miles and I felt a little better. It cleared my head. I came back and finished what I was doing and I'm still employed.
Let me try and see if I can get her added again. Let me see. Okay, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you fine. Yes,
Oh,
I can.
fantastic. Okay, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm Ingrid Carter, and I am 68 years old, retired K-4 teacher. And here in Phoenix, where I live now, I still work with children. Ironically, the children in this neighborhood have just clung to me. So they sit on the porch with me, and we do coloring and all that kind of thing. I'm a children magnet, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Fantastic. You all aren't sitting still. I was just telling them before, Miss Ingrid, that Miss Benston, I don't know if you heard that part, but she mentioned that she got frustrated and went on a 3-mile walk. And Susan thought that she would be eating bonbons, but now she's over recruitment and you are still finding yourself busy. And I told you all before we got on that I really wanted to speak with the three of you specifically, because you all don't just sit at home. You realize that there's still a lot of life to live. And something that you said, Miss Susan, that really resonates with me. I know I'm 40, but I'm still connected to my 8-year-old self. So do you want to talk about, yes, this outer changes, but how are you feeling on the inside? Like,
well, I have 27-year-old and 24-year-old daughters, and I always say to them, my mother never talked about what it felt like to grow older. And I didn't have a concept. I'd look at older people and say, look at those old people. And I thought that meant something different. But now that I am one of those people, I am the same Susan that my sister Ingrid at the bottom of the screen, or people who knew me when I went to Parkman Junior High School or Washington would say, I'm the same person. I look different. Maybe I've changed somewhat, but I'm still that 18-year-old girl who celebrated that birthday, or the 25-year-old, or the 38-year-old who had her first child. I'm that same person. The out shell of you changes, and hopefully you get a little wiser. Not everyone. But you're still basically the same Latoya at 5 and 40. And when you get 60, you might be more confident, hopefully more outspoken, but not everybody even reaches that point. So it's a kind of an individual thing, but I do believe we all feel the same inside.
Wow. Miss Benston and Miss Carter, either of you want to chime in with that? How are you feeling?
Miss Carter's blank again.
Yes. Okay, Miss Ingrid, we're gonna have you go out one more time. Your sound is not there again. Yeah, you just gotta check your connection. We're gonna let Miss Benston talk.
I totally agree with that.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I think I'm even more of that outgoing self.
Nope, we lost her.
Yeah, we lost her again. We'll keep going.
Okay, I think I feel a little bit different. I feel a little bit smarter, a little bit wiser. There's still some of that little girl in me and that teenager and whatever else. And so that never ends. You have to think about that all the time. And I do. And at this age, it's like, okay, I can't slow down. I got to keep on doing something. And it does help. You can't sit at home every day and do nothing. I remember my grandmother told us once, if you sit at home, you get old. So you have to get out and do something.
That's right, Beverly. I would say that I learned early that the secret to living long is to live well. So I try to take care of the chill, no matter how it ages. And if you stop moving, then you get old. That's why Beverly and I are not old. I work out every day, 6 days a week at Burn Boot Camp. And I do things that I look at 20-year-olds who probably do a lot better than me, but I'm not going to quit until God tells me to stop. Because I got plenty of time to rest when I'm dead.
That's right. And see, I'm a walker, and I try to do 3 days with the video, and then I do 2 days outside. And it does. I feel 100% better. And I think it leads to better health, a better mindset. And when I'm exercising, my mind just clears up, and I feel 100% better.
Absolutely. I go to chiropractor once a week because these old knees be like, are you doing burpee? But I still do that burpee.
That is fantastic. We're going to try to give you another try, Miss Ingrid.
Don't know. Okay.
Nope. Okay. And you know what I find so amazing is that it was working perfectly fine before we went on air.
It sure was.
Perfectly fine. So maybe at some point it will work, but for some reason it's an awful delay where she went out again. So we'll just keep on rolling with the punches as we are. But listening to the both of you speak, and neither of you apparently feel your age, whatever that is. Because again, like I said, for me, like I didn't know if I needed to become the stoic, stiff person when I became 40. You know, you see adults, and I had this idea that adults were so serious, and then I became one and realized that we are not. So for the two of you, let me ask you this, because you both are so driven, and I can tell that. What has been your drive? And we kind of mentioned that prior to the show, but what has been your drive? I can just say, for me, just a snippet, growing up poor,
Bingo.
has been my drive. And granted, I've taken my road has not been orthodox, I'll say that. But even at 40, I feel more confident at 40. And it's amazing that you said that, Miss Susan. I've always been outspoken to an extent, but I'm far more outspoken now. I tell people,
definitely.
I used to be really nice. Now I'm just nice.
People would probably tell you that I have never been nice in that way. I've always been very outspoken. I think my drive is what yours is. My parents didn't have anything. You know, my mother was a cook. She had an 8th grade education. My dad swept floors in the factory. He had a 6th grade. But he was the most learned man I ever knew. He read ferociously, but he also grew up in Jim Crow, right? So he didn't have an opportunity. And the drive for me was in making him proud, right? Because he always talked about education to us because he never had it. He drove a cab. He had a little bit of money, but he'd always whisper in my ear, baby, you're going to be the one. I need you to do this. So I didn't really want to be that person, but I also wanted him to smile. Wow. And that's what made me decide to go on to college and to do the things I've done. And I often think, you know, can you see me, Daddy? Because that was my motivation. I wanted to be what he was not allowed to be.
Exactly. And I think, like, growing up, we were poor, but we didn't know it. We had everything that we needed, you know, food, clothing, and shelter. But sometimes you think, my grandmother was there with us. She lived with us, and she was my inspiration. She kept saying, you got to go to college. You got to do this because you'll be. And I was the first one on both sides ever to attend college and graduate. So that made me feel good.
Wow. And Susan, you took one of my questions, because I was going to ask you all, who did you want to make proud? I think we all have that person or those persons that we want to say, look, I did it.
I did it. But I can still see my father on my graduation in Oshkosh with his chest poked out so big and that one tear coming down his face. You know, it was for him that I wanted to make those changes, and ultimately for me too.
Yeah.
I didn't know it as much, right? But I just know that I had an opportunity to be something better, and I wanted to be for myself and for my daddy. And now my children get to live a life I could not have imagined.
Wow.
Exactly. You know, for me, Chicago was like going to the moon, right?
I know
I've
that.
been all over the world. I've been very fortunate in my career, and so have they. And I could not have imagined that 18-year-old girl or 20-year-old girl that I was when I was trying to start this journey.
Wow.
You've done well. I think because my grandmother was there during the day when I was at home, I even went home for lunch. I lived a block and a half from school, and every day I go home for lunch. I had a hot lunch. Okay. Yeah. When I got out of school in the day, I had dinner. And like I said, my parents wanted us to do well, but I think my inspiration came from my grandmother, who always said, you got to do better than what we did. We don't have the education, and you got to do something. So I think that's where my inspiration came from more than anyone else.
And Ben, we had a community. We were talking about this earlier. Like Ingrid, we grew up in neighborhoods. We knew our neighbors. We knew that if we found so-and-so down the street was going to whoop our butt and tell our mama.
That's right.
We knew our teachers. We knew the people in the hallways. There was no acting up or being disrespectful because the teacher would whoop your butt.
That's right.
I still remember Miss Virginia Broden, my 6th grade teacher, taking that ruler out in my hand.
Well, you know what? I didn't experience.
In some ways, was not a thing for our community.
Right. I didn't experience being hit because I guess I went from kindergarten through 12th grade in Milwaukee. And, you know, that was kind of illegal. But I remember we moved here from Memphis, Tennessee, and I did at least my cousins and my brothers and stuff attended school there. And your neighbors were your teachers. That's all it's for. And they knew that if you acted a fool, that they could act a fool with you. So that worked.
And tell your mama, which was worse than
and then you have to go home and get another one.
Another one.
And I got a lot of whoopings, a lot.
He did.
I went to my phone because I couldn't get it to work. So hopefully this is better.
Yeah, it's better.
I can hear you.
It's a lot better. You can tell. It's just a little low, but I know that you did not get a chance to, I believe, answer even the first. Yeah, you kept getting kicked out. Our first topic. Like, do you feel your age?
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely, I don't feel my age. You know, sometimes I'm on the phone talking to someone, and they'll say, "So what's your birthday?" And I tell them. And they say, "You're kidding." I mean, it's just like, no, you're not. And I don't feel that I am. I feel like the life that I chose to live and how I chose to live it really enhanced that little girl in me that my father nourished. Thank God. We had a father who nourished us as little girls. So I didn't grow up with that. I don't know who I am. Am I loved? I didn't grow up with that. I had a father who prepared me for just about everything, and he insisted on excellence. We weren't going to live there without excellence. And he told me one time, excellence is not whether you decide to go to college or whatever, but whatever you decide, it needs to be excellent. And when I had my first child, or my only child, my only, my father came to the hospital. Chad was all of maybe 15 minutes old. He had a bat, a ball, and a glove big enough for Hank Aaron. And he asked the nurse for a piece of paper. And I'm looking at him like, what? And the nurse gave him the paper and a pen. And he asked me this question: "What's on this paper, Ingrid?" I said, "Nothing. It's blank." He said, "Exactly." He wrote my son's name, Chad Coleman Roper, on the paper. He said, "Now what's on here?" I said, "Oh, that's Chad's full name." I didn't even know. I said to him, "I didn't even know you knew what his middle name was." He goes, "Yes, Chad Coleman Roper." He said, "It's up to you to have his life. This is his life, filled with positive people who aren't going to harm him. It's up to you. Everybody you come in contact and you allow to come in contact with him is going to write on his life. Make damn sure they're writing the right thing."
Wow.
And I never forgot that. I never forgot it. And that is exactly what I tried to do in my classroom as well. Write positively, over, it was just an amazing thing for me to experience.
Listening to the both of you, and for the audience that is watching, you can kind of tell with their interaction that Miss Susan and Miss Ingrid are sisters. By the way, they have been corresponding with one another. But I know that you all, and of course you all are a generation or two ahead of me, but just in the way in which we're seeing in which our society is now, and the way in which parents are even raising their children, it's completely different. I know for me, there was a high reverence for teachers. And I know that you mentioned, Miss Susan, how or was that Miss Winston, where the teachers lived in those neighborhoods as well. And we have to remember that as adults, period, we are our children's first teacher before they go into the classroom.
That's right.
And so
we're models, and they were models for us. And I think part of what I see now, young people don't have as many models, right?
They have the wrong role models.
Always watching things and understanding being taught, because our parents, if you think about how our ages are, had to struggle hard for whatever it was they had. And most of them came from the South. They migrated during, the Great Migration to make a living in factories. And they had those values that were instilled by their sharecropper parents and etc. So those were our models: hard work, trying to work to achieve things, sacrifice. Those are the lessons that I think we took that maybe we're not always seeing in not necessarily your generation, Latoya, but certainly the one below you. A lot of entitlement we've created, right? Where people think they're owed something, or something should be given to them, and they don't have to work hard for it. But that's just not the way it is.
No, not at all. And again, one of the reasons why, and I shared this with you all a bit before, the reason why I wanted to do this particular series, it was pressed upon me.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. is because that, it's the value there for our seniors. And you all are considered senior citizens, but the way you carry yourself, you don't fit the mold of a senior citizen that I saw when I was a little girl. Everybody was a senior citizen. Old ladies had this really distinctive smell. I'm sorry. And butterscotch and peppermints in their purses. And it's like they were just good for, cooking. Like it was just this image of them just cooking or just, staying, just being in the house and not being out doing anything. And I don't want people my age and even younger to think that you stop dreaming just because you've turned 50 or you've turned 60.
Never. Well, I think that generation didn't have as many opportunities as we did, so that they got older faster. They had to work so hard. Many of them were scrubbing floors and cooking and doing all kinds of stuff to make a living. We get an opportunity to live in a different way. But heck, I'm always dreaming of different things. I'm going to retire again next year, but I'm also starting and develop the website because I have an executive coaching company. I'm going to keep doing that until God says I can.
Wow. Miss Ingrid, I kind of know who you may say, but who is it that you wanted to make proud?
My dad. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. Because my dad, he was a genius as far as I was concerned. He had a memory like unbelievable. It was just unbelievable. And he instilled great values into us. If I got in trouble, he would take me to the library and say, often. Yes, Susan, thank you very much. He would take me to the library. I could pick at least 3 books, and by Friday, I better have a book report on it. And so that made me develop the love of reading and learning and all of those kinds of things. So I never wanted him to be ashamed or disappointed.
Mm-hmm. He didn't put his hands on you. He didn't have to because he whooped you with those words.
With that mouth. Oh, Lord, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
He'd make you feel so bad, about it. So, yeah, he was definitely the one person in my life that uplifted my soul.
Mm-hmm.
He really did. Yeah.
But that is still so important. Do you all feel, and let me ask you this, like your friendships now, I'm sure that they have evolved. What is your friendships like as women your age? Like, what do you and your friends do for fun? Do you have how has friendship changed over the course of the years for any of you that are willing to talk about that?
I think COVID changed a lot of things that we do because there's a group of us that we hang together and we go to dinner, we go to movies, we go to shows. And these are some of the women that I've known for probably 50 years that are still good friends with me.
Wow.
For me, I've never had like a lot of deep friendships. I have a few females that have been in my life, but my best friends are male. But I think, because of what I've done for a living all these years, I surround myself with young people. I've only recruited and developed young folks. So they keep me young. I'm technology smart because they are always coming into my life saying, Susan, you got to do this, you got to do that. Mm-hmm. And I do them for a living. Many of them continue to strive. I got lots of CIOs and people like that under my belt that I've developed. The guy who created Uber was one of my mentees. So I just surround myself with the kind of people who make me smarter and keep challenging me.
Wow. I love that.
I have a group of friends that are still my friends some 50 years later. And 2 of those women didn't have children. I had a son, but as their children were born, I'm TT Ingrid, and one of them got married several years ago, and they got up to talk on the mic and said, let us introduce you to our TTs. They're the Golden Girls.
Yeah, they are.
They call us the Golden Girls.
They are.
Before I moved, we took a picture together, and I can count on them. I don't have to talk to them in a month or 2 months, but I know that they're there for me. And that's missing from the young people now, I think. I believe that's missing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you all feel, and this is something that I asked, the ladies last week, and I think, Ms. Susan, but all of you all may have a different response to this, but do you feel a responsibility to still like mentor us, our generation, those that are younger, because I feel as if your generation, it was so rich. Like you said, I was raised in part by my grandparents. So they grew up in the South, and they were both born in the 30s. So that work ethic was pumped into us. You work hard, you treat people right, those sort of principles. And it's somewhere along the lines, we've lost that sense of community, as we were talking about earlier. And it's like, how do we bridge that gap again? Do you all feel even comfortable, like if you see someone my age or even younger just kind of doing something out of line, even with their children, do you all feel compelled to say something, or is it just one of those, I'm not going to say anything?
You can't say anything.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. I tell this story all the time. We were in the hospital. My dad probably was my age, maybe a little older than me now. And this little boy fell. He had to be about 3, little black boy. And he hit his head. You could hear the smack on the floor. And he began to cry. And his mother said very loudly, "Shut the F up. I'm not raising no PUNKs." And my father stood up and walked over and blessed her out. Now, you can't do that today, right?
Sure
Because you don't know what you're going to get back. He shamed her, and she did apologize and pick that baby up. So you might get cussed out, shot, anything if you tried those kind of things today. I think you have to watch those people that have a willingness to be mentored and coached, because you can tell. You do have an obligation to do something. But I see a lot of us who think we have arrived. We have not arrived. We might be on the plane, but we ain't got there yet. Wow. Many of us who think we are arrived do not reach back in the way that they should. I'm talking about black to black, to help people get to that level. I see it in other cultures. I just don't see it enough. I've been an executive multiple times in my career. There are lots of me in those corporate seats. Sometimes I just want to shake them to say, you got there, now let's go help somebody. I don't see it enough.
Well, I guess I'm a little bit different, because I still will address it. And I mean, I'm very careful about it. I'm more careful now. But I will address those individuals, because what I've learned is that those young people were not taught, neither were their parents taught, neither were their parents taught. And some of them, and it's a case of many of them just don't know. And I've done it. I still will do it, because I think it's really important that even if they're rough around the edges, they could be whatever they are, but they need to know that somebody cares enough about them to chastise them.
You've been in education a long time, so you may have an opportunity to mentor at the education level, but I don't, please, sister, want to see you out in the streets deciding you're going to chastise somebody.
Well, I've done it.
I didn't hesitate when I was teaching.
Yes, when you're teaching.
But not now. I think people's reaction to if you say anything to them is completely different. They're ready to fight, they want to shoot you or something like that. But when I was teaching, I did not bite my tongue. If I felt that you were doing something wrong, I'd let you know.
Latoya shaking her head.
And I will call your parents if I had to. But now it's a little bit different. I think working for UW Oshkosh doing admissions has made me be I will direct students now, because most of the students that I deal with are college bound, and anything I can do to help them, I will. So,
Well, you did a lot. I just want you to know, Ms. Benston, you have quite a few of your students that are watching.
Oh, okay.
And they have been saying, hi, Ms. Benston. So I know we have Misha, Martina, Anna, or 3 that are popping out right now. And some people may have started watch parties, so I can't see their comments on the stream. But if it wasn't for Ms. Benston, I wouldn't have graduated from high school. I wasn't going to go to the graduation.
I made her go.
She made me go.
And she had been in school for a while, and she needed this English class to graduate. And I went to the teacher and said, "You got to help her out." And the teacher did, and she wasn't coming to graduation. I said, "Oh, yes, you are." So she did show up.
And that's the thing I was talking about. What Beverly did is using your influence to help somebody who might need that lift. We get to a position where you can go to a teacher and say, "Hey, no, I need you to really pull her in," or somebody to say, "No, I really need you to excuse the fact that he wasn't here today at work." We need to be using those influences in the same way other cultures do to help their folk.
But
every day I get a lecturer who wants me to give somebody a job, and we do it, but we don't do it for each other.
Right.
And And the thing is, I believe that, and here's the thing, I get a little different with that because I feel as if when it comes to our culture, we tend to pump up the negative a bit too much at times. I guess for me, you know, I think about Miss Benston, the fact that she could say that to me at that time is because she showed that she cared.
Yeah, she
cared.
cared.
She didn't just come in like, no, you need to go to graduate to your graduation. I'll never forget, it was my freshman year. I think I was in your world history class, and a group of students had come in and they were talking about how somebody was talking about me and they didn't like me and blah, 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 blah. And I remember Miss Benston listening to those students, you know, tell me all this horrible information. I was just like, okay, whatever. And she looked at me, she said, when you're doing good, people are going to talk about you. And when you're doing bad, people are going to talk about you. I never forgot that. In 1994, never forgot it. And it was because of her guiding me, because I had a lot going on as a student, a lot going on. And it was that teacher. She plays a huge role in to who I am now. And I may not always get a chance to talk to her, but she is one of those people that I still think about. And it's just like, I feel as if I am standing on the shoulders of many giants. I don't just have one, I have many. And when you talk about a village, and somebody mentioned that, Camille did mention about it takes a village to raise one child. It truly does. But people have to allow the village to help them with their children.
That's right.
That's right.
But what she's proven is that one person can change somebody's frame of reference. It just takes one person caring, right? Come in to change the trajectory of somebody's whole life.
Yes.
And so I believe that one person can do it. You can't just look at it, oh, look at those pants or look at those this or that or whatever. If you can get in there, you should try to get in there because you may do something that changes somebody's life. I really believe that why I am sitting here and many of the opportunities I've had, it's been one person changing that perspective for me.
Yes. And we need more of this.
We do.
We need so much more of this. And again, this is why I wanted to do the show, because I want women that are your ages and your age range to realize, okay, you may not have been able to go to school as you wanted to at 18 or 20. You know, I went to college later. I started a family young and was married young. So when my peers were in college and joining sororities and all of that, going to parties, I was raising children. Because that was the path that I chose. However, I had to learn to realize that those same dreams and goals that I had before I was a mom or a wife, I could still attain.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Definitely. Yes.
I have a best friend who just graduated from college. Like, she just decided, like you, she raised her family. She was a stay-home mom, and they're now grown, and she always wanted to go, and she not only got her bachelor's, but her master's. Wow, and I'm so proud of her for that, because I don't know if I
never too late.
Something. Yeah.
That's never too
so
late.
important.
Too late to pursue your dreams. And if you move fear out of the way, because fear will stop you from reaching your greatness.
Yes.
That's true.
Fear will make you say, I don't think I'm not good enough. I can't do it. It won't work. And you just have to be strong enough. I have it tattooed on my arm that when fear knocks, you have to let faith answer that door and keep
Wow.
Amen.
Wow.
And a lot of women who are our age and grew up the way we grew up and in the church and that kind of thing, for some reason they are so intimidated by the fact that they in their youth made mistakes. They want to appear to be this person who has always had it all together. And it defeats the purpose, I believe, as to why God has allowed us to become this age and to experience the things that we've experienced. I experienced a lot of things, but I now know I didn't just experience for me. Because where it may have taken me 2 years to come out of something, just my words and willing to be transparent, that young lady can come out in a day. And it's my job. I believe it's my job to do that. I do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, because we still feel like when our older generation goes in the corner and becomes silent.
Yes,
it happens.
How can we learn? Because then I'll feel like, well, who can I talk to? If I'm 40, and granted, my mom has been passed on when I was 22. So it's like I still need women to support me in this journey of life. I really do. And it doesn't, and I guess for me, I've learned to be okay with being transparent. I shared this with my daughter. I said, I'm transparent because I need to be, not because I want to be. You don't, and I don't share things, to scare them or to make them feel as if they have to live up to like my standard. But I share things with them to help them understand you don't have to go down that path. We all have choices. And I wish that I would have been more open about what I was really dealing with on the inside. I don't think I would have made certain choices. I would not have made certain choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I felt free enough to share. And that's why I said we need our older people. Talk about what you were doing in your 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s. Don't act like you've been in church and you've loved God. You did everything.
That's right.
You do.
Right.
If my daughters were down here, you met them earlier, they would tell you that I am as raw and have always been. Age appropriately, I became more and more open about what real life is and where I came from on 11th and North Avenue. They jokingly call me the executive thug because I know both of those worlds, and I don't pretend that I wasn't a girl that smoked a little pot once upon a time.
Okay.
I wasn't a girl that maybe did some things that would not have made my dad proud if he knew it, but he did it.
That's right.
That's called being human. I think we've all done some things that we look back on that we were not proud of, but it happened, and we learned from it, and we changed.
Do better. And I know I can tell my kids all day. At the end of the day, they have to experience life to grow.
Yes.
Failure, FAIL, is your first attempt at learning. That's all it is.
Yes.
And every time you make a stumble and get back up again, you learning something unless you're a fool.
That's right.
I always tell them, it's okay, baby. You're human. I'm not going to judge you. But let's talk about what that lesson is and how we can.
Exactly. It's important too. And it's good that they have somebody like you just to come out and say it in the open, because my kids will tell you in a minute, I do not bite my tongue.
Me either.
Because I have a 40-year-old daughter and a 45-year-old son. And I know I brought her up to be strong, and I brought him up to be strong. And whatever they did, if it was wrong, I'm going to tell you.
Me too. And share that I've made some of those mistakes, right? Someone here trying to fool me. I know what that smell is, kind of thing, right?
That's important. That's key right there.
I wasn't born 64.
I did that too. So you might as well not hide your hand because your mama hand been there already.
That's what I mean.
What you're attempting to do, we already done.
That's right.
Already done. There's no new. No new.
Yeah.
We think that there is. We do. And then in the words of my grandfather, keep living. Keep living.
Exactly. I like that.
That's
Keep living. I'm telling you, I would have all of these ideas and I'd be 10 and he'd just be looking at me and listening. And I'd be like, and I'm never going to do such and such. And I'm never going to do such and such. And he would just let me talk on. I would just be talking. He'd just go, keep living. Man, oh man. And then I became a mother and now I have to look at my adult children. Yeah. I have to say those same words. Keep living.
Well, motherhood is the great equalizer, isn't it?
I think it's God's way. I think it's God's way of paying us back.
It is God's way of paying. Like I have a daughter. I don't think she'll mind me sharing, who has a chronic illness, right? And my mom had a daughter who died from lupus, right? And I didn't understand. And I think sometimes as a kid I was judgmental about what I really didn't understand was just her pain in having this baby who was sick. And now I have one who suffers sometimes. And I actually went in the bathroom about a week ago. I told my sister and cried and talked to her and said, I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't get it. I judged you because I just didn't get it. So motherhood will make you an equalizer, that you realize, okay, all those things I judged, I'm now experiencing and I get it. And maybe that's God's lesson too.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
For us all, to keep us humble, us humble.
Yeah.
And my son and I recently have, come to a point in our lives finally where, I'm able, I shouldn't say we, I should say I'm able to just talk about the realness of the life that we had and why. And it has strengthened us both, and it's brought us to the point that I've always wanted to be, and not realizing and not understanding why we weren't there. And now that we've communicated and talked about it, because I'm a firm believer. You can't get no help if you don't own your stuff.
That's
and there
right.
was some stuff that I needed to own,
Mm-hmm.
painful as it was.
Mm-hmm.
And once I owned it with him, bam, it's like the clouds opened up and said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you just got to be real. Just be real. Be who you are. You know why? Because who you are is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you get a $20 bill and it drops off out of your purse and it's in the mud and whatever. But when you get that $20 bill back in your hand and open it up, you can still spend it because it's still valuable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think we focus too much on the mud.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
do. Yeah, or trying to be somebody that we're really not, right?
Yes.
Authenticity does come with age, so doesn't it, ladies?
It really does.
The person that Susan is
real.
The person I was at 20 and 30, I used to believe I knew I was really, really a bright person. And I'm not bragging. I'm just a smart person when it comes to business and whatever. But I didn't always want to show that. And I have a guy friend in Milwaukee who, if I said his name, he's pretty well known. I bet people wouldn't know who he was. He always says, "Why are you always hiding your light?" I just felt like I needed to dim it so that people would accept me, whether that was having boyfriends or friends. And it wasn't until I was way into my late 30s that I finally said, "Okay, enough is enough."
Wow.
In that fear, and this is who I am. Take me or leave me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started to really cry.
Yes.
Once I could develop that authenticity, I was afraid to let people see it.
Mm-hmm. Because it's intimidating.
While my sister is on the air with me, I learned. I'm the oldest, obviously, but I learned so much from her. I saw her respect herself when maybe she should have fell apart. I saw her lift me up in my dirtiest times. You know what I mean? So she has a God-given ability to get into your heart and somehow make you understand you are worth it, because she did it for me. So for her to do it for all the other young people, I get it, because she did it for me, and I was a whole Cuda Pop, But she has been my biggest cheerleader my entire life, and she still is. And I'm her.
Great.
So for me, she taught me how not to hide under a bushel. She taught me that.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
And I love her.
Nice to have a sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Yes, Lord.
Don't act like she didn't beat me up when I was little, though. Don't try.
Beat you up. She said, I didn't beat you up. I beat Chucky up now.
You beat me up sometime, too.
I
had two brothers, but I had a cousin that was raised with us, and I think she influenced a lot of the things that I did growing up. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of things I didn't do because she did it. So I think that has a lot to do with it. It was like she was my sister. So
like modeling that behavior again, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We can learn from one another, and I think it's even really amazing, Miss Ingrid, that you said your sister, who's younger than you, lifted you up. And that is, again, one of the aims of me doing this series, is that I know I'm younger than you all. I'm the youngest on the show, but there's still something that you all can take from me. I believe that I believe we should be constantly evolving. I believe when you've evolved, you're on your way out.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. I agree.
And so we can learn from one another, but it starts with these type of conversations. And while I'm there, for those of you that are watching, some of you came in later into the stream. And again, I'm sorry with the way that Facebook has it set up. If you've started a watch party, we can't see your questions. But for those of you that are watching, if you have questions for our ladies, because we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon, feel free to put a question in the comment section and we will try our best to get to it. And I know I have the ticker going at the bottom, but please like and share these conversations, because this is something that is positive. And I really, really believe in it. I know it says it at the bottom, but subscribe to Relationship Entertainment Television, RETV. This platform has been in place for us to have these conversations, to have this level of transparency, and for us to be in different parts of the United States on different time zones. these women being willing to come in and just share a bit about their life. I know it's so much more. We can't get everything in an hour, but I knew that you all would be inspiring. Especially, my concern are the women that are in your age group that aren't doing anything. Because there are a number of them out there. And listening to your stories, all three of you are retired and you still found work to do because you just can't sit at home. And if nothing else, my goodness, we need you. We need your voices.
Yeah.
Big time.
If I were going to tell young people who are struggling with where they ought to be, one thing it is that you don't always have to just think you ought to know what you should be doing. What's my passion? How do I find it? We just have to learn that one thing leads to another, to another, to another. When I started my career, I didn't know a pot from a pan.
Okay.
But I did it. I emulated people. It led me to one thing. I didn't necessarily love it, but I learned something. I went to the next thing and the next and the next. And it brought me to my passion, which is what I do in terms of coaching and developing. So just get out and do something, because then you will learn what you do like, what you don't. It'll take you to the next thing. I promise. Whatever job you do, whatever thing you love, it won't be the last thing.
Wow.
And it will ultimately teach you to where God has that purpose for you, because it's there. That talent is there. And it don't got to be about singing or dancing. Sometimes it's coaching. Sometimes it's writing. Sometimes it's nurturing. It could be teaching, but you just got to try something. And if you fail, so what? We all fail.
You just have to get back up. I remember that's like when I'm doing presentations at school. The 18-year-olds say, well, I don't know what I want to do. I said, you're 18. At
That's
18,
right.
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
That's
When
right.
I went to college, I changed my major 4 times before I said, well, I want to be a teacher. So
Never
at
in
18,
mind.
if you know what you want to do, you're an exception to the rule.
Absolutely. That's a rarity. I hire young people out of college. I look at the degrees that come in here and I think, what are these colleges thinking about? What job? Don't even go to school and get a degree unless you can map it to a job.
Thank you.
No money for nothing.
Right.
You have to be marketable.
Their job is to sell you that college. My staff recruits all over the world. So you say, okay, this is the degree. I don't know, just anthropology. Let me see the job that I will map to that.
Not too much.
You map it, don't get it, because you're wasting your money and you got to pay it back.
Exactly.
And hate it. My child upstairs got 2 degrees, didn't want neither one of them. And so what? Then she's still working toward her passion. I just want people not to be afraid to fail.
And that's going to happen. You have to realize sometimes you are going to fail, but you have to get right up and start up again. And that's what it's all about. I mean, don't take it as I'm a failure. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. But life goes on. You'll find you have to find what you need to do, and it will work out.
And life is a circle. So, I mean, I'm 64. I've started over many, many times, whether it's my career, my personal life. It doesn't stop, right? That's why I'm moving to Atlanta soon, because I'm starting again to create what the purpose for me should be. That's okay. I don't take it as a failure. It's first attempt at learning.
And
we're so afraid.
It's okay that you try something that doesn't work. You just got to keep going. Because no one can tell you what's in your heart. You need to know what's in your heart, and then be okay with that, whatever that is.
But Ingrid, this is the internet generation. They got to have 1,000 likes, 1 million likes.
Yes.
Look at Beyonce. Look at so and so.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care who they are. I don't care how famous you think they are. Their lives aren't perfect.
That's right.
Right.
Their lives are not. Beyonce is a beautiful singer, but she got her own issues, and you just don't know what they are.
That's right.
Exactly.
Success or money or singing could make everything better. We wouldn't have people like Robin Williams who jumps off a building and kills.
Amen. Yes.
It's hard for everyone. Your challenges and your story may be different, but you got them.
That's right.
All of the best that you can do is take your challenges and say, what do I do to enhance and make that better?
That's right.
I'm not worried about what everybody got, can do, will have. I'm just focusing on me.
Right.
Wow. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
Right.
And don't compare yourself, because comparison doesn't mean a darn thing.
Sure doesn't.
All these women that are on this circle are beautiful women, and I see with young people, it's gotta be like, instead of saying to a sister, like, I think you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so busy worrying about that if I say it to her, it might make me less.
That's right.
I can be fine, you can be fine, she can be fine, and we can all be fine
That's
together.
right. That's right.
We ought to be lifting each other up.
Because comparison leads to discontentment. That's what it
right.
leads to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I never looked at anyone and wished that they would fail. I don't care if I don't like you and you don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
I look at you succeeding as being the best thing or be the best you can be. That's what it's all about.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right.
And you modeled that as well, Ms. Benson, because in high school, you waited until my senior year to let me know that there was a teacher that didn't even care for you. I would have never known. I would have.
There was a lot of those.
No, by the
sure.
way that you carried yourself. And just even what you all are saying now, because I'm going to tell you all something. As a younger woman, I have had women that were older crush my spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Crush my spirit. And that's why I'm very passionate about working with smaller children, because I'm like, if I can put it in their ear.
That's right.
Early.
K4.
No one can take that out. And see, she was K4, I was K5. Nobody could take that away from them. When you put in their mind, you can do anything.
Yes.
And letting them understand that you be your best you. You be your best. And something I would always say to my children, I have this one of my children. He has this part of my personality where he know he could do a bit more, but he just does the bare minimum because it's just like, that's just what he wanted to do. Like, if I don't feel like doing it, I'm not doing it. And so he's that student, that type of child. And he would show me his report card, and I would look at it and I'll go, is that the best you could have done? Because I never pressured my children into being straight A students. I never put that pressure on them because I understand what it means. I've had children with learning struggles. I've had the whole gamut out of my kiddos. And he'd go, he'd look at me and I go, is that the best that you could have done? And he'd go, no. I said, because it's not about if your peer has a 92 and you over here with an 80. Was this your best? If it was your best, great.
What else?
If it wasn't, you need to work. You need to work harder. And then he went to college and got on the dean's list. So the same student that during high school, he was like, Mom, I'm going to graduate. And he was cool with getting 2.8. And I'm like, I really know you could do more than that. He was like, I'm going to graduate anyway. And I was like, you know what? He's not on the streets robbing folks.
Exactly.
Doing all of this other nonsense. You got to take some and you just got to let some pass you on by. And so I'm saying that because there is this pressure, I believe sometimes that parents can place on their children, and even older adults, they'll put this certain pressure on children because they want them to be the perfect that they wanted to be and couldn't be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of why you can't let everybody be whispering in your children's ears, right?
That's right.
I was very protective, as my sister will tell you, about my daughters, and they had a mother and a coach and somebody who could advise them. And even when people came into their life, I vetted them very strongly because I wanted to make sure they were pouring into them what I wanted poured into them.
Right.
Exactly. That's what you have to do.
Yes, you do. Everybody can't be around your children whispering in their ear, or because even not whispering, modeling behavior that perhaps you don't want.
Right.
Yeah. And I was that mom, so they'll tell you. And I think
she was definitely that mom. With that.
Sure. I'm saying, okay, what that blank sheet of paper my sister was talking about. Mm-hmm. We have an opportunity to create any greatness we want in our children.
Right, that's right.
We've seen it done over and over again. You know, you look at movie stars like Beyonce or Serena, you know, their dad saw vision and they poured into them.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
We can do it academically. We can create PhDs. We can create masters. We can create inventors. We can computer scientists. I have a granddaughter. She's 10. And she's immediately, you're going in girl through code, because I saw right away that she loved doing things that were technical. So let's pour into that.
Right.
Parents, we got to pay attention to those gifts that are naturally our children have, and then help them to shape it.
And then you push
it. That's important. Now, what they are naturally good at.
Naturally.
That is the key, what they are naturally good at. And listening to you all even talk about because everyone on here on this panel is a parent. Let me ask you all this. What is very important for you in terms of just your life, your legacy? What do you want to be remembered by?
No, that's a good question.
Oh wow, yeah, that is a great question.
It is one of the best questions. I just want people to feel that I was there for them. And I don't want somebody to get up and lie at my funeral. And I want them to tell the truth. And if I did what I was supposed to do, say it. That's exactly what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I think just being there for people that needed me is what I've always been meant to do. And I still try to do it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I could tell you for certain you were there for me and countless students.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what I admired about you, Miss Benston, and I'm going to let Miss Ingrid and Miss Susan speak. What I admired about you is that although you were there for so many of us who had unbelievable experiences at home, and she know, and I'm not even going to talk about that now, but she know the depths of what I was dealing with as a student, and I was always great academically. But by the time I got to high school, I had enough, and my grades suffered royally because I just didn't want to do anything. I shut down. But what you showed me is that although you were there for me and so many other students, you never stopped being a mom to Aaliyah and Jerry. I saw you be like an awesome mother to your children. It never took you away from your job. So you had this balance. Now, if you had anything else going on, you didn't show it to me, but I'm just telling you what I witnessed, that you helped me become the woman that I am today. So I
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And you've become phenomenal. I'm really impressed at where you are now.
Thank you.
That's like when you talk about Aaliyah and Jerry. Aaliyah used to say, but you're my mother. Why are you doing this? And then somebody ring the door. Why are kids at our house all the time? So they kind of understood. They understand a lot more now. Toya and my daughter became friends because of me once they met each other. So it's just that kids were more important to me than I thought. And I would come home complaining to my husband, oh, I'm so tired of these kids. He said, Bev, you can't help them all. You cannot save them all. So just the ones you can, you work with, and the ones you can't, you let it go.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. That's it.
Miss Ingrid?
Well, I just want I guess that I try to do the right thing as it relates to my living and as it relates to the young people that God blessed to come into my company. Because, I used to tell the students when I spoke at MCP a lot, you know what? Yes, my reputation is I'm the tough teacher, and I am. I'd rather you not like me and achieve what I know you can than for you to lick and lap and love me and don't do anything. And so I am a pusher. I'll shove them into where I know they should go. And if I can, I'll hold them there. And just the fact that God put me on this earth to be that light for a child is more than enough for me.
And let me just say something to you. You weren't just a light for a child, because I met you as an adult, a mother and a wife. And the way we met was just, it was amazing. It was just through God, really. And I have to tell the audience that I went through a period where I was unemployed, and I knew I was going to either find a job or go back to school. And I knew that me going back to school, I would have to go bits and pieces. I couldn't just go for the bachelor's, being, just because of my lifestyle, my responsibility. So I was like, I'm going to go back to school. And so I knew that keeping my hands up was not something I was going to be able to do because my job had ended. And I remember I was trying not to tell Miss Ingrid that it was because of my finances, because I just felt like, well, I'm going to be on unemployment. That's an extra bill. This woman would not take money from me during the entire time I was going to school to get my associates. Would not take money. And sometimes I would feel bad. I'm like, she's missing. I was counting up the money, like how much money she was missing per month. I'm like, she could be making X, Y, and Z. I wouldn't call her. She would call me and say, you have not scheduled an appointment. And so I'm telling you and Miss Benston, and I know that and Miss Susan, I know I'm going to be able to talk to you because I have your number now. I know that God is going and is blessing you all, because you missed something you told me, Miss Ingrid. You're like, girl, you special to God, even when I didn't feel like it. And if I'm so special to him and you all took care of me in the way in which you did, I'm still elated to see what he's going to continue to do in your life. So I just wanted the audience to know firsthand what Ms. Benston did for me in high school and what you did for me as an adult woman. This is why we need our seniors to talk to us, to love us. But it goes back to them being confident. And that's a whole different show when we just talk about women and their confidence within themselves. So I'm going to let Miss Susan tell us what she would desire for her legacy to be.
You have to remind me what the question is. That's what being seen. At the end of the day, I've been so blessed in my life, and I just can't. Sometimes I marvel that God has been so faithful and so good to me. Like the life that I lead, I could not have dreamt it as a child, right? Mm-hmm. But when I think about all that success, what it really means is most important to me is when I am ready to rest and God says it's done, I want to say, God, I hope I used every gift you gave me for your good. I hope everything I did served you and I used them all up and nothing was left over. It's not about any of that. At the end of the day, I want to know that I did what he called me to do and that I helped somebody have a better life. That's it.
That is fantastic. You have let me tell you this, you've made my life better right now because you've pretty much given us a sermon. I don't even know if you realize that. But you've given us
she a preacher now.
She has. Oh, I believe it. A great sermon because again, like I said, having experience, having women that are older than you look down on you and sneer at you. To have you all give us something to look forward to. There's still a lot of life to live. There is. And don't feel bad. I did this last week. I thought that would be the last question, but I always like to end my shows with what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for, I just, you don't have enough time. Like, my sister and I experienced some pretty heinous things growing up, right? We had a great dad, but we also had some really big challenges. And yet still I rise. Right now, every day I'm still rising, learning lessons. I've lived a great life. I have a great family. I'm just grateful to God for every day I open up my eyes and I breathe life and know that I have another chance to do something right. And I'm grateful for that.
Fantastic.
I agree with everything that she said. I don't even have to say anything. Just grateful for being here, grateful for God and being able to get up every day and walk around and feel comfortable. So.
Well, you know what I'm grateful for is the fact that even when I didn't feel worthy or even when I felt was at my lowest in my life, that God thought enough to reach down and when he reached into me, he changed my entire heart. He literally changed me on the inside. And so today I'm so happy and grateful and smiling, and it's not fake, it's real. It's real. And I'm so excited about the rest of my life.
Fantastic. That is something just awesome to hear, that even at 71, 64, 67, you all...
Don't be taking my year away.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
I'll give you a couple of mine.
You better have me give you that extra year. I'm not taking you a year. I have to remember that you are 68, but for you all to still say that you still look forward to living. And I'm so grateful for the three of you sharing your stories with us. I know that as people continue to tune in, I know some may have tuned in a little later, but I encourage those of you to share the stream. Share it, especially with women that are in their 60s and 70s, to let them know it is not over. And I know that I'm going to be saying goodbye to the audience. I don't want you all to log off just yet, but we're going to end this wonderful show. I am grateful for this opportunity to have sat and listen with you all, because right now, like I said last week, this is a legacy. This will always be recorded. We can go back and watch and take notes, because you all have said so much to encourage us all, young and old alike. So I look forward to seeing my audience next week. Thursday, we'll be talking to women that are in their 40s and 50s. We're going to keep on going down the line. So I hope that everyone has a good night. Be safe and most importantly, be great.